Imagine this: a cold tile floor, a public bathroom, a grown man lying in the dark, his foot pressed hard against the door, holding it shut. Beside him, his 2-year-old son, asleep on his chest, no home, no money, no backup plan. Someone knocks. He doesn't answer, he just presses harder. He cannot let his boy wake up to this. Most men in that moment break. This man made a decision, not a hopeful one, a furious, quiet, desperate one. Never again. What happened next became one of the most extraordinary true stories in American history. His name was Chris Gardner. He grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. No father in the house. A stepfather who was violent and hard to live with. A mother who loved him, but couldn't always protect him from what was happening inside their own home. Most kids growing up like that go one of two ways. They either decide the world is against them, or they decide to build their own world. Chris chose the second. And as a young boy, he made himself a promise: quiet, private, unbreakable. My children will always know their father, and he will be there. Simple words, but that promise would later become the only thing keeping him on his feet when everything else was gone. After serving in the Navy, Chris ended up in San Francisco. He found work selling medical equipment, heavy bone density scanners, hospital to hospital, door to door. Some months he sold nothing. His relationship with his girlfriend was breaking down under the weight of unpaid bills and a future they couldn't figure out together. Every morning he put on his one decent suit, loaded the scanner, knocked on doors. Every evening he came home with nothing. Then one afternoon, 60 seconds changed everything. Walking through the financial district, Chris spotted a man stepping out of a red sports car. Sharp suit, easy walk. The look of a man who had genuinely figured life out. Chris walked straight up to him. "What do you do, and how do you do it?" The man smiled. "I'm a stockbroker." Something lit up inside Chris Gardner that afternoon, and it never went out. No finance degree, no connections, no one to call for help. Just that one word, stockbroker, and a feeling in his chest he couldn't shake. He found a training program at a major financial firm and went after it with everything he had. He called, he showed up, he made himself impossible to ignore. And eventually, they gave him a shot. Then came the catch. 6 months, full time, no pay at all. Most people would have walked away. Chris said yes anyway. This was his one chance. And he wasn't letting it go. Within weeks, everything fell apart at once. His girlfriend walked out. His landlord locked him out. Chris was now on his own, a single father with nowhere to go. With no money for childcare, he carried his little boy everywhere, to the office, to the library, through the streets of San Francisco. A man chasing Wall Street, homeless, with a toddler on his hip. Then came the night that broke him open and rebuilt him at the same time. No shelter available, nowhere to go. Chris carried his son into a subway station bathroom, locked the door, laid a thin blanket across the cold tile floor, pulled the boy onto his chest and held him close, sharing the only warmth he had left. Then someone knocked. Chris pressed his foot hard against the door. He didn't make a sound, didn't move a muscle. Tears ran down his face in the dark, because he would rather break in silence than let his boy wake up and see his father like this. The knocking stopped. Silence. And in that silence, something inside Chris Gardner shifted. Something that would never shift back. It wasn't hope. It wasn't motivation. It was something colder, stronger. A fury that had nowhere to go but forward. I will never be here again. I don't care what it takes. I will build something my son can be proud of. The very next morning, Same floor, same bathroom. He was up before the sun, dressed his son, dropped him at a low-cost daycare, walked to the office in his one wrinkled suit, studied on the bus, practiced calls over lunch, read his notes while feeding his boy dinner at a church shelter that night. Every single day, his colleagues saw a man who outworked every single person in that building. Not one of them knew he had nowhere to go when the lights went off. 20 trainees, one job. Chris looked around that room and did the math fast. Being good wasn't going to cut it. He needed to be so far ahead of everyone else that saying no to him would be impossible. First one in every morning, last one out every night. More calls made than anyone else in that room. Not because someone pushed him, but because he understood something the others simply didn't. Every single day was a job interview. Every call, every handshake, every moment someone was watching, and every moment they weren't. People told him he was out of his mind, a homeless man going after a Wall Street career. That's not how the real world works. Chris had one answer for all of it. He just kept going. 6 months later, he sat the licensing exam, passed, first attempt, one position, 20 people. They chose him. The hiring manager pulled him aside and told him he had never seen that kind of hunger in anyone, not in his entire career. Chris Gardner had a job, a real paycheck, a future that was finally his. But the moment he talks about most, the one that still brings tears to his eyes, is not the day he got the job. It's the day he signed the lease on a small one-bedroom apartment. Nothing fancy. 4 walls, a small kitchen, and a door that locked from the inside. He sat down on the empty floor and cried, not because it was beautiful, because that night his son would sleep in a real bed, in a real home, under a roof that belonged to them. That was the only win that ever mattered. Everything that came after was just proof. Chris worked his way to the top of his firm. In 1987, he started his own company, Gardner Rich, with just $10,000. It grew into a firm handling millions. He became a multi-millionaire. His story became a book, then a film that touched millions of people around the world. When people asked him what his greatest achievement was, he never once mentioned the money. He said, "My son grew up knowing his father was there. I made that promise as a boy, and I kept it." 3 things Chris Gardner's life proves. 1, your worst moment is not your last moment. That bathroom floor was not the end. It was the first page of the real story. Whatever floor you are sitting on right now is not your destination. It is your starting point. 2, the morning after the worst night is the most important morning of your life. Chris didn't wait for things to get better. He got up. Same bathroom, same wrinkled suit. One more try, one more step. Nobody saw those moments. They changed everything anyway. 3, a promise outlasts every motivation. Goals fade when life gets hard, but a promise made to someone you love that follows you into every dark room and pulls you back out every single time. Find that promise. Hold it tighter than anything else. Chris Gardner once said, "The cavalry isn't coming. You have to do this yourself." So if you're still standing, still trying, still breathing through the struggle, that is your proof. You have what it takes. Now, keep going. Pass this on to someone who needs it today. One story at the right moment can change a life. If this hit home, like and subscribe for more.